This is Steve. That's Bob. And here's Art. Can't forget Bob's dog, Loki. And I'm Julia. I'm behind the camera. We're taking a road trip across the state of South Dakota so that Art and Steve can share their message about protecting the rights and freedoms of people with disabilities. They're passionate about their right to be free to decide how they want to live their lives.
We're going to be taking Highway 18 all the way to Yankton, South Dakota. We're going to kind of meander through southern South Dakota.
Have you guys been this way before on Highway 18?
No.
It's going to be an adventure.
It is?
Yeah. Since you've never been there before, neither have I.
You haven't been there yet?
No.
But Bob said it was nice.
Yeah, do we trust him?
Yeah. We gotta trust him because all he does is drive and make coffee.
Drive and make coffee. Bob's worked for people with developmental disabilities for the past 30 years, and this is the best job description he's ever heard.
That is, I guess, symbolic of what I really want my role in this project to be. I don't want to be in front of the room. I want to be in the back of the room.
Bob worked with Art and Steve as they put together a presentation to take on the road. They're consultants now who've dubbed themselves the messengers. The message is this: after years of other people telling them what to do, Art and Steve took charge of planning their lives and now want to help other people learn the steps too. Bob recalls how the project started.
I had been talking with Art and Steve, just visiting with them. One day, I got an email from Steve, and it was a pictorial email, and it laid out 6 things that Steve thought were important as far as people having their own rights, standing up for themselves, self-advocating, and the meat of what he was saying is that people needed to take charge of their own meetings.
Before I met Art and Steve, I didn't really know much about the concept of an annual meeting. This is something many people with disabilities have each year. You sit down with your staff members and make a plan for how your life will run for the next year. In the past, it was a process where neither Art nor Steve felt they were in control. Imagine getting together to discuss your life with people you like, as well as with some people you don't like. You're under a microscope. Decisions are made about how you'll manage your money, deal with your medical issues, and spend your time, including arranging transportation, housing, and jobs. Also, sometimes restrictions are put into place that limit your freedom. I think Art's staff had good intentions in running his past annual meetings, but he felt trapped by the process.
See, when I first came here, my staff run my meeting, and I didn't like what was they saying, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this, and gotta do that. Well, when that new case manager came there, I told him I wanted to change some little bit of things about my meeting. He said, "Art, you only want to run your own meeting, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I want to run my own meeting." Okay, when I got my meeting coming up, I got my team put together, and they was all at the meeting, and I said, "Look, things gonna change. I want my money. I want the places to go. I want my money on my own account, not you guys' account."
Through hard work and with encouragement from Bob and their case manager, Tim Alberts, Steve and Art learned how to run their own annual meetings. For them, this is the key to protecting their rights and freedom. Bob says he understands why.
If we can take charge of these plans that you guys in the past have made for us, if we can take charge of these things, then we are in charge of our life. So what the project is about really is about telling other people with disabilities the same story.
Our life been living hell. I mean, we was in the middle of this looks like a little egg, because nobody come and talk to us about this.
Before we were in an egg. It was like we were in an egg. And he says this, and he tells this story over and over again. And it is like he was trapped inside an egg. He didn't know the rules. He didn't know what was possible.
They've cracked their way out of that egg and now want to help others start breaking shells too.
We're gonna make me a crack. Get outside, breathe me some air. Gonna make me a crack now. Step into the light, yeah. Give myself some fresh air. Well, they may not like my methodology, but frankly, dear, I just don't care. We're gonna take to the road. Got ourselves a story to tell. Take ourselves to the road now. Gonna tell our story, yeah, we're gonna tell it well. You don't have to live like this. Living's only living when you step outside that shell. Let's hit the road, Bob.
I am trying not to make other people mad at me.
Why do they get mad at you?
Because they think that I am doing something wrong. Like talking about restriction, talking about they had their rights for their own meeting.
The message that Art and Steve have about taking control of their life, running their own plan, being their own people, to some people is intimidating because to some staff people it means a loss of control.
But I'm there to talk, and I'm there to do what my job is to do.
People should get to decide what their program is about. It's an acceptance type of thing, and I think it's something that some people are just going to have to learn. I think that some people are never going to learn it, and those people should not be working in this field.
As we travel toward Art and Steve's first presentation of the trip in Yankton, South Dakota, Art seems anxious about a few things, including the possibility that he could run out of things to say when he's speaking in front of an audience.
What do you want me to sing in Yankton?
You can say in Yankton whatever you want to say, but you know, you've got your program.
We call it a shop, right?
Yeah, just think about Yankton in the morning, and there'll be about 20 people there, just like you've done before. And you just do the same kind of thing that you guys have done before, and everything will be fine.
Well, if I get tired of standing, can I walk up and down?
You can do whatever you want, Art.
Cause I'm gonna get out winded, Bob.
Oh, I don't think you ever get winded, Butch.
Huh?
Do you ever get winded?
I said I get out winded.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what to say next. But I got a pretty well pat down now where I want to say, like restriction. If you want to plan for your meeting, you got your right. Plan for your meeting, that's your right.
As they describe it, Steve is the thinker and Art's the talker. That's their own description of themselves as far as their differences go. And I think that's a pretty accurate description.
The Missouri River divides the state. As we cross from West River to East, we pause to stretch our legs and take in the view.
I walk this road behind me.
Art and Steve have experienced vast changes in disability services and rights. They've moved from a system based on separating people and putting them in institutions to one where people with disabilities live in the community.
If you look at Art and Steve as men in their 40s, and they've grown up within a real changing network of services that were available and choices that were available for services. When they were kids, the choices that their families had as far as what type of services were available to those families were really limited. In Steve's situation, Steve went to Redfield, which was the state hospital here in South Dakota, when he was 5 years old. I don't know the circumstances there, but you look at it from a standpoint of where do non-disabled 5-year-old kids end up when they're 5. They're in kindergarten. It's hard to say what his experiences are like. If you talk to Steve about his Redfield experiences, you know, he did have some good experiences there. He did make some friends there, and there were some people there that were really good to him. But you also look at it from the standpoint, it was an institution. I asked him if he would ever like to go back there to live, and the answer was no. And very emphatically and very quickly, no.
Another defining experience for Steve was a job he had in a workshop for people with disabilities. His job was sanding planks of wood, all day, every day. Steve is an artist. He likes to paint and draw. Hearing his story made me think of one of the layers of hell described in Dante's Inferno, doing something over and over, with no purpose.
He very much values his independence. He guards that independence. That's really a lot of who he is with this project and why he's so insistent on getting this information out to other people.
Or do you like some of your
And that's one of the things that I really appreciate and like about him, is that he is insistent to be free. How you doing there, Stevie?
Good, Bob.
Gonna take a nap?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone I know now, everyone they just living inside an egg. Everyone I see, I tell them you don't have to moan. No, you don't have to beg. Just gotta crack that thing wide open now. Let's scramble this up a little omelet, yeah. Time to stretch your legs. That's what we're talking about.
Art, next.
Yeah.
Next.
Buddy boy.
Shave, 50 cents.
Art and Steve both have physical limitations. They asked Bob to provide support in some areas. He agreed to become their personal barber.
You know, you got a James Bond beard, Art.
I do?
Yes, you do. You're like Sean Connery.
Really?
You know who that is? The guy that plays James Bond.
Okay, really?
No.
He got a tight beard too?
Yes, he does. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You want me to put my glasses on?
Yeah.
Think that's a good idea?
Yeah.
Hey, Steve. Steve.
Yeah,
You might want to come here. You're going to enjoy seeing this. So there is a handsome man, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Hey, come on, baby.
It is like getting ready for a game. They would start getting psyched up. Art. Steve. Who's in charge?
We are.
Yeah.
Who makes all the decisions?
We do.
We do.
Who's the boss?
We are.
Yeah.
Who do I work for?
You work for us.
Alright.
Okay.
Art and Steve's first presentation is at a center for people with disabilities in Yankton, South Dakota.
They are the messengers.
All right, great.
That's their logo.
Okay, tell you what, let me come on around and we'll go.
And we
go
need
back.
to show me where you want us to get set up at.
Okay. There's a couple of them over there.
They begin their presentation with Bob asking Steve and Art what their lives were like before they took charge and planned their own annual meetings. The answer? Not good. They both felt stuck doing things they didn't really want to do. But things are different for them now that they run their own meetings. Art and Steve made an instructional DVD to show at their presentations to people with disabilities. The DVD is called Planning for Your Life. After showing their video, Steve and Art take questions from the audience. Then Steve shows his calendar to the group. This is how he keeps track of the plan drawn up at his annual meeting.
Each month. April.
Art has a calendar like Steve's. It's a way to monitor staff and document whether he's getting the services discussed at his annual meeting. Rather than staff checking up on Art, he sees it as a way for him to check on staff.
Just show the staff, just why ain't this happening?
So the staff
is this?
knows what you're doing and what you're not doing.
Well, no. See, if you want like if you want to go grocery shopping, and it don't work out, you can put a minus. This proves it's not working.
Okay.
Then you take it down to staff, and the staff is going to have to make something out for him to do that.
When I first started working on this project, I wondered why these annual meetings each year were such a big deal. What I've learned is this: if you don't run your annual meeting, someone else will, and you might not like their version of what's best for you. To Art and Steve, losing control of that meeting means losing their freedom. But if you've never run your own meeting, it could be pretty intimidating the first time.
Is it hard for you to stick with yourself at the meeting?
Yeah, it is.
Not hard at all for me. Because when I got that meeting, I sticked up for myself. I sticked up for myself ever since I was 16, 17 years old. And I'm not afraid of nobody now.
After the presentation, we have time to reflect at a coffee shop in downtown Yankton.
Oh yeah. Bob, like you told me keep talking positive. I think I got these guys down there fired up. I think I kind of fired up. It's fine. They talked to me and they know what I was getting, my message was getting to.
Remember years ago when we were talking about doing this?
Mm-hmm.
You guys never do this?
Yeah.
We never get it done?
Yeah. You did too. It's like that camera.
Today's presentation went great, but Art and Steve vividly remember a past event that didn't go so well.
You know, it was at nighttime, and we got in winter, and Bob said how I'm doing. I said I'm doing good. Then all of a sudden, I got off of track just a little bit and started telling the other clients they don't need their staff there or their caseworker there.
We decided we would do a real long drive and get there early evening and do an evening session and try that. Just logistically, it worked better. Really, I wasn't thinking about the situation very well because I should have known that by 7 o'clock at night that Art's energy level had waned to the point that he was really getting tired. It didn't turn out real well. I felt bad about it because I knew they could do a lot better with it. Steve felt bad about it because he couldn't get Art redirected either.
Wrong deal, you feel.
I got off track.
Talk to them much.
What did we all learn from that?
Don't ever do it again. If you're gonna say something, Make it same as the truth and right.
Art didn't live in a state institution like Steve. Growing up, he moved around a lot, living in towns throughout the Great Plains. What I notice about Art is how easily he makes friends with people. I really admire this in Art, his desire to reach out.
I'm thinking I'm going to keep it positive.
Yep.
That's
That's where it needs to be, Art.
Because I'm not messing up or anything.
Nope.
I'm not messing up.
So I think that's just keep it positive, keep the same message, add the thing about it's okay if you're scared, because that's the truth, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we ought to change anything, Steve, in what we do?
No.
Keep it the same?
Same Bob right now.
Okay, I think that's probably a good
May-
idea.
But we're up.
Okay,
Look up.
get better.
Better.
We're in Vermilion, South Dakota, just down the road from Yankton, and 350 miles from home. At some presentations, Art and Steve see friends they've met through statewide organizations.
Oh, I need more chairs. Thanks, Steve. How you doing, bud?
Good. How you?
Pretty good.
Miss me?
Not all the time.
Steve and Art usually get some form of this question from staff at their presentations. The question deals with how to hold people accountable. It makes me see things from the staff's point of view, what a delicate balance there is between freedom and control when your job is to help support people in their day-to-day lives.
If there's decisions that you need to make, it sounds like you guys make the right ones, and that you still, it's not like a free-for-all. You still hold yourself accountable. Is that true?
Let me ask you, good question, but let me ask it in a different direction. Have you ever had a restriction?
Yes, I do.
The topic of restrictions has been on Art's mind this trip. He's had restrictions in his plan before. Because of his challenge doing math, one of Art's restrictions limited his access to his money, and this bothered him a lot.
And so what did you ask your team when we talked about a money restriction? What did you ask them?
I asked him, could I have my money on my own account instead of theirs?
Okay. And what did you want to know about your money?
I just want to know how much I'm spending and how much I have to save.
Okay. The point I'm getting at is I was sitting there and Art looked at Tim and he said, "What do I need to learn?" Okay. Remember that? He said, "What are you going to teach me?"
Yeah. I asked my caseworker, well, I say, Tim, how are you going to teach me to get off restriction? I want to know. And he said, well, he said, you have to know about things.
You can visit some more with these folks. Hey guys,
And Steve wants to maintain contact with his family at least once a week. And then Steve wants to hang out with me and go on the road and do the messengers thing.
You want to introduce me to someone?
Yeah, this is my friend Art.
Hi, Art. I'm very happy to meet you. How do you know Art?
So we were in policy together.
Yeah.
Oh, policy mark. Oh,
Yeah, in
okay.
classes.
Oh, okay, good. You all were in the same class?
Yep.
I was kind of curious about all this. Do you feel like you run your meeting more or less already?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So you already feel like you run your own meeting, right?
Yes.
And you have access to your money.
Yep.
And you have your own checkbook, and your own credit card, and your own cell phone.
Do you know that, Art? I got my own credit card.
Doing good.
If he didn't, then he checks it off as a minus, and he says, "Okay, what are you going to do now to fix that? It's on my plan. It didn't happen. Why didn't it happen?" So he's following his own stuff up. And then if I ever see a minus in this one, then I'm in real trouble.
Oh boy!
Because we meet on this stuff a lot. We put a lot of time in.
He was the chief geologist.
Yeah.
Every other day or so, Steve picks up a pack of cigarettes. Usually, like today, he walks into a store, buys his pack, and walks out. But it's not always that easy.
Steve smokes. And so he said, "Hey, I'm going to go down to this bar down the street. and buy a pack of cigarettes. And I said, you know, hey, great, you know, see you in a few. Art and I were in a store browsing around, and Steve comes in, and he's a little pissed. And I go, what's the deal? He said, well, they won't sell me cigarettes. They carded me. They wanted an ID. Well, Steve is obviously old enough to buy cigarettes. So here's a situation where he walked into this bar, the bartender or whoever was there thought that he looked a little bit different and said, no, you can't buy cigarettes in here. His reaction, I guess, would have been the same as my reaction, and he was angry, and he should have been.
Marbles, camels.
Red.
Red? Oh, Marlboro red.
Yeah.
Today there's no problem. But later on our trip, Steve got carded again while trying to buy cigarettes. He doesn't have a driver's license.
What? ID? Good God. Let me go with you. Is he over 18? Okay. That just cracks me up. I never get carded. He gets carded all the time. Okay. Hi, Bob. That's okay. You look too young. You're too good looking. Oh, wow. Okay, let's go saddle up.
Bob, go ahead and do our work.
That's all part of being a consultant.
That's all he does is drive me up. See, he don't got time to talk. He's doing other things.
I got to make good coffee.
Yeah.
All right.
By the time we reach Madison, South Dakota, our third stop on the trip, the guys have hit their stride.
How did you feel to get jobs outside of the agency like I did? You know, having friends that can help you out, being respectful, treat you like respect. How did that change your life? How did it change your life?
Because I worked at it until I got it the way I wanted it, and I worked for it, and I worked with my goals. And me and Steve both changed a lot of things what we didn't want, and you know, that's how it is. I like my life the way it is now.
Yeah, basically, you know, I live on my own.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard for me to do things because I have a disability and stuff, but still I do things on my own.
My staff was always saying, where are you going? What, you can be back? You can do this, you can do that. Hey, I just told my staff what I meant. I said, hey, I don't need your guys. I asked them, can't produce shit, you know. I try to do this on my own.
During the presentation, one staff member decides to play devil's advocate.
Art and Steve, I don't think you should have the right to have your own meetings and stuff. And if you tell me I can't come, I'm going to come to your meeting anyway. What do you think of that?
I hate to tell you, but you're not invited.
Way to go, guys.
Nailed it out now.
I think you did good. How do you feel?
Good, man.
How do you feel?
Good. I gave him great answers, so you're not invited. And that's what I did, too. I gave him an awful great answer.
I'm really glad we didn't get a ticket.
It wasn't smart, but it was great.
We got flies in here.
Because everybody laughed and told him after I told him he was not invited to my meeting, everybody laughed.
Yes, they did. They laughed and clapped.
At me because and then they said, because he told you the right answer, didn't he?
Yeah, he's an old friend of mine.
He is?
Yeah, I've known him for years. He's been in the system for about
They're
as
the
long
kids
as
I
Tim
know.
has, so.
The guys I know, people I know from inside. They're good people.
Yeah, you guys did very well again. I think that's the best one yet. pull this one off like you did yesterday, it'll be a grand slam. You guys will have done really, really well, and this will be a very successful trip.
And I bet you they remember that too for the rest of their life too.
Oh, you guys probably will. I mean, you guys are doing something. You're going to remember this for a long time, aren't you?
Yeah.
At a center for people with disabilities in Brookings, South Dakota, Art and Steve give their last presentation before we head home.
This often what we're trying to do is teach you guys to take your own rights and tell your case manager what you want to do. And then, if that goes okay, you guys got a right to call your own meeting.
We have a lot of people here today that are case managers or that help to support people in some way. What advice would you give to them?
Try a little bit harder to help your guys.
Try a little bit harder to help?
Because these guys are here today need a lot of care and respect and everything else. And just try a little bit harder, try to help your people.
So how do you like to be treated, Art and Steve? How do you want people to treat you?
We would like to be treated with respect and kindness. Because there's no reason to get mad at people. If they don't do anything right, we just tell them, we're going to try it again.
You said in your movie, no surprises. You don't want any surprises at your meetings. Did you used to have some surprises?
Yeah.
Well, how did that make you feel?
I mean, I told them that I want to take my own cut. I want to have my own money on my account, not on yours, and I want some transportation to go places. You know what? It's working. It's working.
How did this one go?
Good. Good.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Can you believe you're done?
Yeah, thank God.
Boy, yeah.
Thanks for a whole week, Bob.
Good week?
Yes.
Always have a good week, huh?
Yes.
Yes, I did. Best week ever. You have fun?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, traveling's good.
Our road trip is ending, but there are more people Art and Steve want to reach with their message.
Well, I walk this road behind me with no one else but you. We had some words, got lost a time or two.
They wanted to go and talk to college students. They wanted to go especially and talk to college students who were going into special education, and they wanted to talk to them. Because as Art says, we want to teach them how to treat those kids right.
At Black Hills State University, Professor Greg Cooch welcomed Steve and Art to his class of special education majors.
Share your stories. Yeah. Share your story. Bob told me that you call yourselves the messengers.
Yeah, we are.
That right?
That's
okay.
what we are.
When you go in there, you tell your message. Okay. You tell your message. Keep in mind that these are students that are going to become special ed teachers.
Bob's friend, Eric, is a professor at St. Cloud State University. Eric believes the message Art and Steve bring to college students is crucial.
Art and Steve are saying that we have a voice, it needs to be listened to. And in the past, we as professionals have been ingrained that we know what's best. And what we knew what was best was what we were taught. which leads into the next area of why we're working at the university level, that it's the pre-service teaching that we need to get earlier, that to the college students who are coming through, to understand that possibly maybe professionals aren't always the people who know what's best.
Eric helped Bob make a pre- and post-test for the presentations to college students.
The pre- and the post-test dealt with how the college students felt about control. Who should be in control, who should be in charge, who should make decisions.
And so when we have about 10 or 15 questions about the planning process or whatever, it all came about that they were all the professionals, the county social workers, the case managers, whatever. They were the ones in charge. After Art and Steve talked, we then gave them, and it was Art and Steve decides.
Not 99%, not 95%, but 100% of the people have made a change in attitude as far as who should be in control of Art and Steve's life.
The concept of dignity of risk, which means that, yeah, you know, when we were growing up, we did things and we weren't always successful. And there were some risks in our failure. But that's part of how you learn and how you grow up.
You've done some things that made your lives better. What made you decide to go out and try to help others in this way?
That's where I'm pointing myself, is trying to help other people what I've been through, because these other people is living hell, and I know what their life is.
Steve and Art each have things they want these future special ed teachers to know. Art's message is about how they should treat their students.
The only thing you gotta remember is don't scream, holler at the kids.
Steve's message focuses on how to treat those students once they're grown up, and should be able to choose how to spend their time.
Did you ever have to sand wood?
Yeah.
What was the purpose of sanding wood?
Make things.
Cooch, you want to answer that one? What's the purpose of sanding wood? You've been there, I've been there.
Probably to occupy time, because we couldn't figure out a way to occupy it better.
Yeah. And so, where Steve's at now, how many programs you got?
None.
And whose decision is that?
Mine.
Okay. Since he was 5 years old, he has had to have some types of learning programs going on, whether it be letters, numbers, matching, cooking, street crossing, compliance programs, who knows, the type and the number of ridiculous things that people have tried to make him do. Steve is at a point in his life now where he says, I want none of that, I will have none of that. So when you ask him, you go, Steve, how many programs you got running this year? He goes, none. And he's very, very proud of that and very happy with that.
I can't remember who wrote it, but and it's Martin Luther King said, I had a dream. He didn't say I had an annual plan and goals and objectives.
They walked into a university classroom and they were the professionals that day, okay? Rather than sitting in a classroom and being last in the class or not being included in the class, they were the people that the class was there to listen to.
I'm telling you guys, you guys got to teach them with respect and kindness, because if you don't teach them with that, you might as well say, well, you might as well pack up the paper and go home, because they're not going to do anything for you.
And I think an important thing that you're saying is to listen to the kid and see what they want. What, you know, like you're saying is, this is what I want. This is what, you know, you feel strongly about it and you want to get something done. So it's important to ask the child as a teacher and see what they want.
You know, this is my 7th year here at Black Hills State as a professor. This is the best class I've been in.
Hopefully, we're in an era now when people really are going to be free. Hopefully, we're in an era that people can give up that control and hand it over to the people who need to have that control.
You guys are great.
But you got email?
Okay, I'm gonna write down mine quick. Do you want mine too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get email from you guys.
Ready to go have lunch?
Yeah, but it's right in that email now.
Okay.
And I was pushing myself hard into my message. That's what I wanted to do. There was nothing you guys pushed me. I would push myself. That's what I wanted to do. To push my message towards you guys. Find what you want to tell the parents and give little kids.
Well, you and Steve are teachers. You guys taught me a lot today,
Yeah.
so now you're teachers.
I used to be the one that you tried to ignore. I used to be the kid in the back. I used to be the one who wasn't teachable. I used to be. You used to be the one who knew the secrets. You used to be the one who called the shots. You used to be the one who was responsible. You used to be responsible for me. But I'm standing to deliver now. My grasp extends beyond the reach you set. You will listen as my voice breaks through and the hopeless student. I will teach you. Yeah, I will teach you.
I think, but right now I'm trying to catch my breath.
You're catching your breath? You a little burned out, are you?
Well, you know how I was talking loud.
Yeah. You did good.
Because I wanted to get my message out to them.
So are you a little bit talked out right now? Is that what you're saying?
A little.
You guys think you'd probably sleep all the way back to Hot Springs, I bet.
Nope. I ain't. I'm just trying to motivate myself. But I done good though.
You did very well. And so did Steve. Both of you guys did. I'm really proud of you.
I think, you know what? I think we got our message to them.
I think they did.
Steve kicked his smoking habit in 2008. Painting and drawing occupy his time, and his works are for sale. Art has handed out a couple thousand business cards since the Messengers project started. He wants you to call him.
Cowboy Elvis sat in the truck.
Bob continues to drive and make coffee. In his lifetime, Loki traveled more than 4,000 miles with the Messengers.
Well, it's been my life down inside this shell. So I spend every hour, every day, every minute down inside this shell. I'm here to tell you now, well, it don't feel like nothing if it don't feel like hell. Baby, I'm gonna make me a crack. Get outside, breathe some air.
Why don't you guys come here?
Gonna make me a crack now, step into the light, yeah. Give myself some fresh air.
What's that, Art?
Well, it may not like my methodology, but frankly, dear, I just don't care.
To me, it was just captivating. It was interesting to watch. And it was interesting to watch because I've been in this business for about 37 years, and I was kind of reflecting back on what it used to be compared to what it is now. And I was trying to put myself in the place of Art and Steve and think of the things that they had gone through. Now, of course, we have public laws that protect individuals, give them equal protection under the law. But when you think about Art and Steve, they really didn't have that in those days, you know. And these guys were kind of on their own. And the message, I think, they were sending there is that self-advocacy is the best advocacy. You know, self-advocacy really is that gateway to independence. And I think they said that in so many words better than probably anybody I've ever seen.
Well, I was really impressed with Art and Steve's story, and in particular what they were doing. I think their message, self-advocacy, fits very well with some of the initiatives that we're doing here in the Department of Human Services. In particular, really like the fact that they went out into the communities, into the different community support providers, and were basically preaching their message and getting others involved too. The Department of Human Services mission is to promote the highest level of independence for all individuals regardless of their disability or disorder.
We know what needs to be done. We know educationally what can be done and what people can do now. Contrast that to the 35 years ago or so that Art and Steve and many others were institutionalized. We really weren't at that stage yet. And so it really says something about the research and the effort that's been placed in trying to make lives of children with disabilities and consequently adults with disabilities better than it has been in the past. Congress had found prior to the passage of Public Law 94-142 that there were millions of children, they estimated, in the United States that had disabling conditions. Some estimates were 6 million to 8 million. Right now, I believe we serve around 6 million children. I want you to think about this for a minute because Congress estimated that of those 6 million children, 50% of them, 3 million children, were what was called functionally excluded from the public school systems, okay? What that meant is they may actually be in the building, but they're not being educated, okay? 50%, they estimated another 1 million children, or 16%, being purely excluded. In other words, they weren't even allowed inside the building. So when you take a look at those children, Those 6 million children, 66%, almost 4 million of them, either not being educated appropriately or not even being allowed to be in a public school. So the question has to be asked, how could we call that a public school if only we allowed part of the public in a public school? That's why Public Law 94-142 was so important. Because Public Law 94-142 and subsequent laws up to the current Public Law 108-446 have basically mandated zero reject. In other words, we don't allow any child to not be educated.
We have come a long way. When Christopher was first diagnosed with disabilities, there was hardly anything out there for me to find. I sometimes felt alone, and this is when you're trying to open doors for your child, and you're trying to find the doors even to open. And that's when you have to start talking to medical professionals, to educators. You need to find parents that are also walking this path so you can walk together and make changes. I'm just so happy for all parents today that they do not have to walk such a scary path, that there's resources there for them. There's people along the way that's ready to grab their arm and say, this is available for you, and this is available for your child, and you have choices. Parents have choices.
I'll never forget the stress and the struggle it was to try to find employment. It was almost as if most employers didn't want to bother having a person with a disability on the job. I don't know if they were afraid of injuries taking place, or if it was just the old fear factor that you've never been around anybody with a disability, or, well, it might take a little extra work. I don't want to judge anybody, but that was a pretty negative attitude. Well, when I went into the job search in 1993, I noticed some things had changed. First of all, it seemed that every employer that I interviewed with was very fair in giving me consideration. It seemed like the disability did not come into play when the interview took place unless I chose to bring it up in regard to reasonable accommodations.
Because if you have a disabling condition, that can make it a little bit difficult. But if you have a situation where you have that coupled with the fact that you're going to have people's attitudes that are not allowing these individuals to fully participate in what this country has to offer, then that makes a difficult situation almost impossible, you know. But I want to believe that has changed, and many of the reasons that has changed are because of such laws as 504, ADA, IDEA.
And I think the biggest thing for me was that the ADA helped to change people's attitudes. Obviously, there are still people out there who would not want to hire someone with a disability, and there are obviously still lawsuits and legal concerns that are addressed. But to me, the place where the Americans with Disabilities Act has been most effective is in the change of attitudes.
This law has been a wonderful thing. It gives a path for parents to follow and for employers to follow.
History has proven that if we don't have laws like that, we like to think all people, given an opportunity, are going to do the right thing. Well, not all people are always going to do the right thing. Most of the people will do the right thing most of the time. But laws make it so we need to do the right thing all the time.
The Department of Human Services strongly encourage competitive employment and assists individuals with disabilities in finding and maintaining jobs through employment programs. South Dakota is ranked number 4 in the nation in employing individuals with disabilities. The national average is 36% employed, while South Dakota's rate is 48% employed.
For a long time, I thought that he was my tool. But in the end, actually, I was Christopher's tool to open doors. And we did it together with the help of his father and his family and many professionals and many friends. So it takes a lot of people to be advocates. We all have to work together and we can make change.